Okay, so here is my tip. I will drop one of my favorite tips every once in a while here. Tip number one, have understanding that your perspective is truly just that. It's your perspective, especially in families. So when people are working through Speak the Unspeakable or through Groomed, you're getting things that are coming to light that haven't been brought to the light before. You're having an opportunity to think about things that you haven't thought about before. And the Lord will show you things. And you need to remember that while you are getting this insight and it's putting together your story, the gift that you could actually walk away with is learning how to tell your story. And then the people in your life that perhaps you feel like they affected you, they hurt you by what happened to you when you were little, how they treated you, and you have a story in your head around it, and now you're starting to understand your story more, and you've always sort of blamed them or held them accountable. And a lot of people, when I talk to people, like, well, I feel like my dad needs to this, or my brother needs to this, or my person needs to this. And here's the truth for you. No one needs to anything. Actually, nobody owes you anything. You owe yourself. God would love you to receive the gift of releasing, of being able to not have your story carry the heavy burden that it's carried, and not have that other person, that co-lead, like your co-star in your story, have so much that they hold still on you. When I told my story to my dad, when I wanted him to know about my abortion, when I wanted to put things in the light, I started with, and this is what I always recommend, go back to where you began. Just want to tell you my story. You're so much older than I was, or you were working, you might not remember, you were so busy. And just from my point of view, for the things that I'm working on now, I thought it'd be really cool to share this with you. That's how you get an outcome. And don't even look for an outcome, but I could tell you, if you share with no expectations, typically the reward is something beautiful. But it's just going in with no expectations. When I was little and when this happened and I was only 6, you might have been 11, but from my point of view, it felt like this, and this is what it was for me next, and then this is what happened, and then this made me feel this way or act this way. You start to tell a chain of events that's just about you, and nobody can argue with you. Actually, they'll get hooked in. If you really learn to tell your story, people will get hooked in and have compassion. And gosh, I never thought about it from your perspective. I'm so sorry you were so little, or you were so busy and you had so much going on, and I was down here always bothering you, and I did, it just frames it differently. So I'm here to give you a new frame and a new way of becoming the master curator of your own story that could affect change generationally. So the key is, learn to tell your story. If you haven't figured that out, you can sign up for one of our groups. You could download one of our video series and learn to share. And then invite the other person. I'd love to hear yours. Tell me from your perspective, your story. And all of a sudden, you've changed every dynamic in that relationship. And it won't go back, because you've taken the emotion out of it. You've taken the expectations out of it. And I've had people do this. I had one woman that when I first met her, her mother had wanted to abort her. She had so many emotions around it. And by the end of the journey, just the few weeks that we spent together, the 5-week, 6-week journey, she was able to just share with her mom, this is how I've felt since I was little. This is my story around it. This is how I feel. And that made her mother burst into tears and say, I'm so sorry. She would have never gotten that outcome if she had come looking for an outcome. You have to learn to just love people, release people. What's your story? Learn to tell it in a way that gives you the stage. And that's it. You will be so beautifully surprised at the outcome. I look forward to journeying with you. I hope that you sign up for a group someday. We work with your church or your organization, or that perhaps you just schedule some private time. All right? There are great things ahead, unspeakably more than you can imagine.